Well, Skip, I think it was Saturday that I received a text and said, Drew would like to reach out to you. And I'm like, Drew? Like Drew Brees. I said, okay, when? He says, would it be okay? I was like, sure, no problem. So he gave me, he got my number. I got him. He sent me a text. He's like, hey, man, I would like to reach out to you tomorrow. Is that okay? I text him back. So we kind of started engaging in the conversation, Skip, even before we actually had an actual conversation, and getting the gist of what he was thinking, how he was feeling. I let him know what I was thinking, how I was feeling. So he called yesterday, said, is it okay if I call? I was like, yeah, I'm calling from a block number, so answer. I know you probably don't answer block calls. You're absolutely right. So he called Skip, and we started talking. And I said, the floor is yours. You tell me what you're thinking, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking and how, why I reacted the way I reacted. And he says, first of all, I want to apologize. I want to say that I'm sorry, not only just to you, but to the entire black community. He says, I can understand what I said, going back and looking at it, I can understand the feelings that you guys felt, because it does come off that I lack compassion, that I lack empathy, that I lack understanding. And that's not me. That's not my heart. He just says, if anything, if you know me, Shannon, and you don't really know me well, but we've been around each other. He says, I think you know that I have a good heart and that I've immersed myself in New Orleans since I arrived here. I think '06. He says, so for 15 years, I've been a pillar in the community. And he says, I don't want one bad mistake. I don't want one slip up to ruin everything that I've built. I said, Drew, what you have to understand is that for 1 second, we didn't want you to be Drew Brees. We wanted you to be one of us. We wanted you to feel if that was your brother, if that was your uncle, if that was your father. You're still a married father. You're still a doting dad. But for 1 second, you were black. How would you feel? And he said, and I said, Drew, when you said, fought for the military, you do understand that not only were they fighting in a foreign land for freedoms over there, they were also fighting for freedoms back home. Like the freedom and the pride that you feel when you stand for that flag, everybody does not feel that same sense of pride because they haven't been afforded some of the same opportunities that you and your ancestors have been afforded. He says, I understand that. He says, talking to a lot of my teammates and see the hurt that they felt. I said, Drew, let me break it down to you in a nutshell. What hurt the most is because it came from you. I said, Drew, no white quarterback in the history of the NFL has had black support like you got it. I said, we don't need to get into different quarterback. I said, but other quarterbacks could have said exactly what you said, and everybody would have been upset. But they said, you know what? I expected that from him. I expected nothing less. But given you in New Orleans, what you've done in the community with Katrina, donating $5 million out of your pocket during this pandemic to feed the homeless, the hungry, and Drew said, I said, Drew, why do you think your teammates lashed out like that? Because they couldn't believe that came from you. And after talking to him, Skip, I could feel the pain. And I'm not a guy that's easily forgiven. You got to show me, Skip. And I said, and he said, so what should I do moving forward? I said, Drew, don't issue any more apologies. I said, your first apology, I said, let me tell you what's going to happen. I said, there's going to be a certain segment that says Drew Brees is only apologizing because he got caught in this firestorm. Now, there's going to be another group that says, you know what? I'm looking at his action, and they match his words. He said he was going to do this. He's doing this. You cannot concern yourself about the ones that's not going to be willing to forgive. Skip, I don't believe in a scarlet. I don't believe one incident should rule. I mean, there are certain things that can, but I don't believe him saying what he said should be the end of Drew Brees. I believe he deserves an opportunity for redemption because he's been too good in that community for let this one slip up undo 15 years of great service. And that's what I told him. I said, Drew, I'll be here. I said, my criticism was harsh. There's no question about that. And I understand that's probably why you're reaching out. But I wanted you to understand not only the hurt that the community felt, that I felt, because when Skip and I talked about this on Tuesday, the first name out of my mouth is I said, Drew Brees, we need you. I said, Drew, we need strong white men, powerful, influential like you to help us get the ball across the finish line. And I said, Drew, I think you understand that. I think the blowback that you got I think it was deserving. But I also believe that you have a great heart, and I believe you will make right about the wrong that you spoke. And he said, Drew, you're such a person of prominence. This is what it's going to take. Guys like a Drew Brees, guys like these prominent, powerful white men that can say the exact same thing Shannon Sharpe can say. But because you're white, you talk like them, you travel in circles like them, they're more apt to receive it from you than receive it from me. I said, Drew, it really does sound like the flag meant more than a life. And it's like, you do understand, like when men fought for freedoms, they fought for your ability to stand and salute the flag, but they also fought for someone to kneel. So you can't just say, well, they fought and the First Amendment only applies to me and standing. It also applies to, it's applicable to others if they want to kneel. It takes a while, but it doesn't take long to tear something down. And I told Drew, I said, Drew, you can paint 1,000 pictures and never be considered an artist. But one deed, one misspoken word can tear everything that you've built. It can tear it down in a matter of seconds. Look, Matthew Stafford plays in Detroit. There are a lot of blacks in Detroit. They don't rally around Matthew Stafford like they do for you, Drew. Matt Ryan is in Atlanta. I live in Atlanta, Skip. They don't galvanize for Matt Ryan like they do you, Drew. Drew, I say one of the things, Drew, you're 6 foot tall, you're like 200 pounds. They look at you as a normal guy. They look at you, Drew, and they don't think you are standoffish. They feel they could come up to you and you would carry on a conversation and not look at them like, why are you talking to me? That's how they view you, Drew. They view you, Drew, as one of them. They say you're a light-skinned one of them. That's how they view you, Drew. And for you to say that, like I said, a lot of other people could have said it, Drew, and it got criticism, but they just say, what did you expect? That's why it hurt. I said, Drew, think about your teammates and what they said. I'm saying this from a distance. Your teammates offered a scathing criticism of you because it was you. They needed you to be an ally, and for a brief second, you became an adversary. Then I say, Drew, you issued your apology, and some people still weren't going to believe it. But I think the biggest thing that you did is your retort to President Trump. When he said we can no longer make it about the flag, we can no longer hide behind the flag. This is an issue that affects the black community, and they need our help. I think that was the one that probably resonated even more than his